Gonna bunk it up. See if I get any folk coming on. Just wait and see if anyone comes on. Maybe I might get someone on, I don't know. Just bear with me. Just trying to add some folk on. Just give us a thumbs up if you can hear. Haggis. Yes, Haggis, I'm out. Guys, I just got out tonight. It was a bit touch and go if I was going to go out tonight. Yes, I was meant to be out yesterday. And it's quite weird. They forgot to take my blood test. So that's how I didn't get out. But no fault of their own. And I'm not complaining because I used to moan that I never got into any help. Fucking hell, they were trying to keep me in. It was quite strange. But I just want to thank everyone for their comments. It was a brutal 15 days. I don't think I've been in long in hospital in that amount of time. But the comments were really encouraging. There was moments where I could just have hit my head off a brick wall. I really could have. Just felt shit. And it felt lonely at times as well, even though everybody was messaging. But when you're stuck in a ward and all this stuff going on around everywhere, it plays with your head. I spoke to my sponsor today, and I felt a bit more comfortable after that. And getting out was the best feeling. It's like getting out of prison, man. Like 15 days, and you've got all this stuff going on in hospital. Like, you're not allowed visitors, and that is a hard one. Like, because when I was in hospitals before, the visiting was the thing that perks you up, but not having visitors in, and seeing some of the older guys in there as well must be tough for them as well, and the families as well. I mean, there was a guy next to me, hadn't slept in 3 nights, and poor sod, like, he was asking for his wife and that. But I just want to bring some things on. Like I said in hospital, and I stated it quite clear that I was in there for my own actions for 13 years of alcohol abuse and cocaine abuse. And that's my fault, and I highlighted it in hospital because I wanted to show you that what I'm telling you is true, right? And thanks, Julie, and Haggis, loved your messages, cheered me out a lot. But like I say, I wasn't doing it to like look for something. That wasn't why, because it's easy to come around and tell people that what addictions can do to you. It's so easy, and I can sit there and tell you, right, that's going to happen to you, and that's going to happen to you, and you're going to sit there and tell me, no, it's not. And we all do that, and I certainly done that. And it scared me. It absolutely scared me. I didn't tell folk this. I went for a CT scan last Thursday, and this is why I get kept in a bit longer. So I got a CT scan. I knew it was going to come up with my pancreas anyway. But the next day when I got the results, they thought they would throw me with a blood clot in the liver, and thrombosis, as it says in discharge. So that kind of freaked me out. But luckily, it was just a slow rate of blood going through my liver. So it's nothing serious actually. But at the time I did shit myself, to be honest. But it is scary. Like, even though you're in recovery, even though you put all the effort into maintaining that recovery, it still comes back to bite you, and it tests you. It really tests you. I mean, I was talking to my sponsor the other day, and I'll share this with you, and I was like, being sober and being clean feels good, and I love it. But on the other hand, having the issues, because I'm not just dealing with recovery, I'm dealing with a chronic illness, I'm dealing with diabetics now, I'm on insulin, but dealing with the addictions and dealing with the like the mental health side and dealing with the problems I caused through the alcohol, it is so mentally frustrating, and you feel, and at times I did go in hospital like, is this worth it? Like, I'm getting the same as effect as what I had when I was alcoholic, so what's different now? But the higher power kept me going. You guys kept me going as well. But I wasn't going to let it beat me. And the thing is, I do highlight addictions, and I do hide it for a reason, because it hides pain. It really hides pain. And when you've got a mental health issue, or if you're suffering from bad flashbacks or stress or anxiety, alcohol or drugs is going to take it away for that short period of time. And I mean short period of time. And then that's when you start doing daft things. And we've went through that quite a lot of times, you know. And how much I don't agree, like, with getting tablets thrown at you. I think a lot of therapy, there's different amounts of therapy other than like CBT, like equine therapy, stuff like that. There is a lot of good therapies out there that should be used, and I've actually built up some good contacts in the past couple of days. One I'm speaking to tomorrow, Paul as well, Paul Kennedy, I think, who he's got some page on mental health. It's really looking good. But we're trying to get this awareness out of the mental health side, and I think I told you this the other night. Veterans Unite Against Suicide are asking for answers, and the answers are there staring in front of you. Yes, we need a restitution centre. We do so. We need some kind of centre that's going to deal with everything in one go. Give the person, the brother, sister, whoever it is, a detox, and then give them a long 12 to 16 week programme. It's not just that, you're dealing with why you're drinking, why you're taking the substance, and why you're having to use it. Right? Because nobody just picks up a bottle and wants to basically damage yourself. You know what I mean? You know, and they need to get at the bottom of that. But when you're doing that, you're actually finding out your triggers. You're finding out a lot of other things of things like that. And Bella done a video the other day, like, about pill. I'm not ashamed of it, because it's actually keeping me alive. But I go in the hospital with one. This is what alcohol does to you, by the way. I go into hospital with just like one of these, and then I come out with all that. And that's not forgetting insulin, because it gives you diabetes as well. The pancreas does. You know, and I'm being serious about all this. Like, every day you all hear about cirrhosis of the liver, or you hear about liver failure, and the big thing about it is pancreas is missed out. Pancreas is the biggest killer for anything, because pancreas does two things. It digests your food, so the enzymes is no but producing digest your food. So if you're not digesting food, you're going to end up very ill and very seriously damaged. But also the tail of the pancreas produces your insulin, what breaks down the sugar. So if that's damaged too, then you're going to end up diabetic. And I didn't know this, actually, to be honest. I thought I was type 2, but I'm actually type 3C, so it's pancreatic diabetics, whatever. But I tell you this because it is serious stuff, you know. And with this lockdown we had, the drinking rate, and I seen it all over Facebook, veterans pages, and even civvy pages, the drinking levels went high because everybody was bored. Every day there was no pubs open, and everybody got the cheap booze from the supermarkets. Best way to do it, innit? Sit in the house, you drink more because there's nothing else to do, and it takes away the problems. But it only takes away that problems to a certain degree, and your body then gets tolerated to that certain amount, and that certain amount, and you double that, and then you're down the route of dependency. And when you get rid to dependency, there's either two ways, and I've told you this before, right? You're going to have a serious illness, or two, you're going to die, right? Simple as. And I have seen people dying through this, and it's absolutely, it's not nice to see. I seen one in recovery, and it hurt me hard. And he was doing well. And I don't want to see people going through what I did. I had the options, I was given the chances, but I wasn't dealing with the underlying issues of why. Like, because why do I drink? Why did I drink to success? Right? Why? And the whole reason that is what I explored at Tom Harrison House was a lot of things. A lot of things came from childhood. Secondly, things for when I came out of the army and that, and things after that escalated, and I let it escalate because I wouldn't speak out. I would not speak out, and it got me into a lot of bother, and it got me into prison. It got me into the papers, and things I'm not proud of at all. You know, and to be honest, it's been moving on now. You know, and if I can pass on some sort of knowledge and help for them, for the person, just one person, then I'll be grateful for that. Right? I'm not in it for anything. I'm in it from the heart, and I mean that, right? Because I do not want to see anyone, even a family member or even anyone. I do not want to see them going through that and drinking yourself to death, taking drugs. It doesn't solve anything. At the end of the day, you're going to face your problems again, and this is where we need to all work together. Not this about competition, who's going to help who or this. Everybody needs to unite as one, and help each another. Like, God, this bitching and that, it needs to stop, you know. And right now, there's more people out there drinking because of more lockdowns coming in. You know, there's local lockdowns, and that's not helping people there. You know, and this fear, it's a fear of it is going to come back, and the boredom and the isolation. You know, the isolation is one of the biggest triggers for anyone, even if you're not an addict. How many times he said, "Oh, have a glass of wine because I'm bored," and you just pass the night. Or you finish work and say, "I'll meet up with the guys on a Friday, have a drink," and ends up in a big bender. Like, everybody does it, but other people do it to combat their mental health, and that's self-medicating. And if you're going down the self-medicating, it's torture, and you can't get out of it unless you have the right frame of mind, and unless you're willing to surrender. You have to put everything in it, and you can't give up. And I thought about giving up loads of times, and it was hard. Like, I hurt my family, what I put them through, and it was hard. But I kept pushing myself, and I surrendered. Yeah, my recovery, it's not easy, and I don't lie. Recovery's not been made easy. You're never recovered from alcoholism. You're never recovered from addiction. It's manageable, and you deal with your problems. It's one thing I never done in the past was deal with my problems or talk about it. Now you kind of get me shutting up about it now. But if it passes a message on to one person, and if it helps one person, then I'm passing that message on. I at least hope that they can get into position where, but in a position where they find that they can do it and they can move forward with their life, because drinking at the end of the bottle or taking drugs, cocaine, heroin, crack, whatever, it's not the answer. You know, it's not going to fix your problems. It's just going to make more problems harder for you when you come into recovery, and whatever damage you've done to your physical health. And it takes a long process to get you into position. Even at 9 months, I'm still learning. You know, I'm going to be learning the rest of my life, and even if it was 10 years or 15 years, I'm still learning, and I'm never going to be recovered. I'm not ashamed to say about my past, because people need to know, and people need to know that how much damage you've done through your own actions, or my actions, in my point. It can be turned around if you put the work in, and it's hard work. It is really hard work every day. It is like not easy. But having that higher power, having the head, and having the willpower to say to yourself, I'm in this situation, I don't need to pick up. And yeah, and it is difficult. But I know I've got right people about, and I know my family who, they were on my graduation, and my grandpa just passed away, and it was quite hard at that time. And I was right on the edge of. It was in the lockdown as well, and I was the first person to graduate in a lockdown, and I chose to do the Zoom, and seeing my family all break down, my sister, my mum, and my gran, that was the hardest part. I've never even seen my gran cry ever. No. Because she's always a tough cookie. But that was hard. To see them break down, it was like there was a sigh of relief for them. That they're not, the hurt and pain, it was still there probably, but they had seen me making the effort. I'm never going to be an angel. I still make mistakes, still the now I still make mistakes, but I learn through the mistakes, and that's all I can do. You know, I try and be honest as I can. I try to share the message because I don't want any's going through anything like this, because it's hard, it's difficult, and that's why I've done my counselling course, because every day there's not enough about addictions out there. I think addictions is one of the biggest killer and a big impact in suicides as well. I truly believe that. Addiction takes away the pain. It takes away the frustration. It takes away it just takes you, it puts you in a different world. And for that short period of time, having that feeling of hope and wanting, like having that confidence, because that's one big thing alcohol and drugs does, is give you confidence. It doesn't last long, and it could last 8 hours, and then it's that cycle continues, so you want to do it again, you want more. But I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I'm always going to be a recovering alcoholic. I'm never going to be recovered. I'm certainly never going to be recovered, but I'm recovering. That I am. And I'm still going to make mistakes. I'll still put my hand up, you know, and be honest when I've done it. You know, I've made mistakes. But in enlightening with everything, I want to pass the knowledge I've got, and the tools I've got. I can't do somebody's recovery for them, I certainly can't, but I can certainly point people into a position where they find their own recovery, because that's what it's all about, is finding what works for you and what doesn't work, if that makes sense. And it's a lot of hard work. Like when I was doing that counselling course, I found out a lot of things about myself. It was, do you know, even for being an addict and recovering addict, doing that course was like, it wasn't easy. I thought everybody thought it was going to be easy for me. I didn't sail through it. Like, I had to redo a couple of things, but I'm glad I had to redo a couple of things, because it made me learn more. You know, it's not all about sitting there telling people your story. It's about, the two things about counselling is listening and hearing, you know, and a majority of phone calls I've had, and I've had some horrid ones recently where people want to pick up the bottle. They've actually had the bottle sitting in front of them, and we sit and talk. And then one thing about an addict, right, and you'll get this, they always give you, because I've probably done it myself tonight, and I can guarantee it, I put a lot of negatives out there, but we always focus on the negatives, right? And there's a lot of positives actually there, but you never focus on it. You always focus on the negatives, because you always think the worst is going to happen. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't, you know. And that's the worst mistake ever, is thinking the worst, you know. And that's been a learning curve for me, having to think positive and make changes, which the changes I'm making is helping me, and be a better person who I was before. Because when I was in hospital and when I was in A&E, and I seen people kicking off with the staff, and it brought back memories from me and how ashamed I was what I put the Nutlight staffing through, because that was me a year ago. That was me. And I was sitting talking. It was weird, like when I was in hospital drunk, the staff hated me, and fuck, I would hate myself, honestly. I would have when I was in that stage. But the respect that I gave the staff in Liverpool Royal, I was like, there was one staff member, a partner had broke up with her partner, and he was a cocaine addict. And I sat there and I said to her, I says, I bet you felt worthless, you manipulated and things like that. And she says, how do you know? And I said, because I used to do it. I used to do it to people, manipulate them, tell them what they want, and hurt people. And that's hard. It's hard to even think about what I put people through in my family. Obviously I've not seen my daughter in 7 years. That's hard, but hopefully, like, she'll see things different when she's getting older. But moving forward, I'm hopefully by mid-October, so it gives me like a few weeks, we're setting up the counselling. It's going to be online. It's not going to cost anyone. I wouldn't charge anyone for it. And basically just do some alcohol counselling. And before anyone says, yes, I have got my qualification and diploma, because somebody tried to pull me up earlier on for it. But yeah, the services are going to be there, and if people want that kind of help, do approach me, do send me an email, or send me a PM, and I can get something sorted and get you in for some help, and hopefully refer you on to services. I know I've made some contacts through my own recovery. I know places where you could go for help. But it's one of the things, is like wanting recovery. And I know every addict wants recovery because it's there. But the problem is your body and mind pulls you back. And if you keep pulling back, you're going to fall back with it, you know. But like I say, just keep reaching out. I know everybody's doing a lot of videos now, and it's probably a lot to take in, and it'll be highlighted for a reason, because we don't want to see any more suicides. We don't want to lose anyone else. And we're frustrated because the government are doing nothing. Like, they're shutting hospitals. They're destroying what we're here for. You know, people are on the streets. You can come over in a rubber dinghy and get in a 5-star hotel, but on the other hand, veterans or whoever even are lying on the streets and don't get any support. And where's the fairness there? And that's the only time I'll mention that. And it's hard that I think there was a place in Cardiff as well, which was for the COVID, and I think there's like 250 empty beds. So why can they not use that to take people off the streets? And the sad thing about it, the people on the streets have got alcoholism issues, and a lot of them won't be helped. A lot of them will not want the help. And there's many cases we've seen that. That's their lifestyle, that's their routine, but they don't drink to the extent of what I would do. They control the drinking, but they're still alcohols, and if they stop drinking, they'll still have withdrawals. But they tend, because they don't have the money or whatever, they tend to a bottle of cider would last them all day and maybe all night. As long as they're getting these sips, they're not going to get into withdrawals. And there's big differences, and that was one thing I learned on the counselling as well, about the different stages of alcoholism and drug abuse, and the effects it has. I know about the effects, everybody knows about the effects, so I don't need to sit there and tell you. It's not going to solve problems, it's just going to make matters worse. And you're not just going to be fighting your demons of that, you're going to be fighting physical health, and people forget that. And it's hard, and you will get there. If you're struggling right now, don't be scared to reach out and say, like, I need help. There's people out there, you don't need to come to me. There's people out there who would help, you know, and I hope you do. I really, really hope you do, because watching people relapse for me is the hardest part. Somebody's doing so well, and to see one mistake can cost a life. I know for a fact if I went and picked up a drink, which I know I won't, I would drop dead, you know, and that's true. And they always say your last relapse is the worst. I'm certain my last one there was the worst, because look at me now. You know, I'm going to have to deal with this for the rest of my life. Shortened lifespan, say I'm going to have more hospital admissions. For what? For drinking the end of the bottle. It hasn't actually solved my problems. It's actually made it 1 billion times worse, with the added pressure of dealing with the mental health side as well. So if you are struggling with drink or addictions, I'm not a doctor, and this is why I'm saying this. I am not a doctor, but I'm a person that's going through it right now, and I can assure you right now, if a doctor tells you what this is going to happen, I can assure you it will. I was stupid enough not to listen to them. I was stupid enough not to believe them. I thought they were scaremongering me. 8 months on, I'm still fighting. I'm not fighting the alcoholism. I'm fighting the damage it's done to me now. And it's scary, because you don't know what's round the corner. But I'm going to cut this short, you know, I've went on. But if you are struggling, reach out. My number's there. My new number, my work phone's not up yet. I'll get it up later on. My email address is up, and if you are interested in help with addictions recovery, or if you are in recovery and you want some support, do please message. I don't say no to anyone, as long as you put the hard work in. You know, I can't do it for you. But everyone, have a good night. Again, thank you for all your comments and support when I was in hospital there. It was much appreciated. And keep reaching out. You never know, the person next to you might need that hug, or just a check-in and say, how are you? And it might do them the world of good. Just a phone call. But reach out, and don't bottle it. Don't be ashamed, and don't leave it till to be too late. I'm going to wish you all a good night, and thank you again.